Welcome back. The Red Zone Rundown YouTube channel. All we do is talk ball here. Obviously, we're going to get started here with the rundown from last week, the Super Wild Card weekend here. We'll get started with the Texans-Browns, first game of the weekend. I don't know if a whole lot of people out there had that game. Unfortunately for me, I did have that one. That is one of the ones I did have right last weekend.
Not me. The Browns let me down there. I was really into the whole NFL script. Thought the script writers would have got it right. Sending Joe Flacco to the divisional round where he most likely would have played his former team, the Ravens. They got all the other scripts down pat. I think that was the only one they were missing out of all these potential games.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud came out in that game though and just absolutely balled. Flacco obviously had the couple pick six there, which really changed that game with the back-to-back plays, I believe.
Back-to-back plays.
Yeah, they were
back-to-back plays.
Definitely a heartbreak. Goes out to Joe Flacco. He came in 5 or 6 weeks ago in the season there and played well. Just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
As far as that game goes.
Or hear me out on this one. Gonna go off the page here a little bit. What if Joe Flacco took the Browns' job? Okay, became the quarterback there, knowing that the Browns were good enough to make the playoffs, where he could potentially get them to the playoffs and just freaking rip their heart out because he still bleeds purple and black.
Maybe
he did that. He went to a division rival.
He seems like too good of a dude for that, but maybe.
I don't know. Maybe he just loves Baltimore that much, and he thought that was his way of showing it, eliminating a division rival from the playoffs. No, it seems like a very Joe Flacco thing to do because Joe Flacco was not this good when he played, and when he was with the Jets, when he was in Denver after he left Baltimore. Now, let's say that the Jets and Denver are also dog shit teams, but
Cleveland has a good roster.
Cleveland has a very good roster, good offense, good receivers, very good defense, but he definitely looked a little outplayed here this week.
He did. So obviously those two pick sixes were the difference in the game. There, obviously Steven Ellis getting one of them, and Christian Harris getting the other. Christian Harris played phenomenal. Had a sack in that game, a couple tacks for a loss, forced a fumble, you name it. He filled the stat sheet. But for me, C.J. Stroud in that first half was so cool, so calm, and collected. 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles. Played a clean game there. Defense played well. I really think that they did a great job. No, I don't know if a whole lot of people give Laramie Tunsil the credit that man deserves. But
he's the highest paid tackle in the league, but it's very well deserved.
When you talk about the top tackles in the league, I don't hear anybody mention his name, and he really should be. He's just as good as Trent Williams.
He's been the highest paid tackle 3 separate times, I believe, at least twice. Because he's done his contract. He does his contracts in like 3-year increments. So you figure, he's
definitely structured his contracts the right way.
When he was coming out of Ole Miss, he looked pro ready in college. Like he had some of the quickest feet I've ever seen on a tackle. Like the dude can move.
The only reason he fell was the gas mask. The gas mask.
He was probably I forget who all was coming out that year. I have to look back on it, but he was supposed to be a top pick.
He was top 5.
And then he ends up falling. I believe it was a 13 of the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins didn't care. The Dolphins got a good freaking the best tackle in the draft.
They got the best tackle in the draft for sure.
And he wasn't even the first tackle drafted.
And in all honesty, that video, in my opinion, should have helped him because that man's got lungs of steel.
Yeah.
Did not cough once on it.
Right. Yeah. He got injured in that game, and I thought this is not good because nobody realizes how important he is to that team. The dude is just. And C.J. Stroud's very lucky. C.J. Stroud went into that job and has an all-pro left tackle, which should be an all-pro left tackle. I don't know. Was he on second team? I don't know if he was on second team or not. But I know obviously Trent Williams is the first team all-pro there. But
I think Lane Johnson was second team.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the dude is just he got lucky definitely having a guy at left tackle when he came into the league. And he has a very good right tackle as well. So, the Texans' offensive line is actually pretty solid. But definitely, C.J. Stroud's he's the Texans' quarterback that has benefited a little bit. You look at David Carr when David Carr was drafted early in that team. I mean, David Carr was
definitely much
was sacked how many times? So
yeah, and that kind of ruined David Carr's career there. But I mean, that whole offensive line kept the whole Browns defense didn't have a sack all game.
Yeah.
Which is an impressive feat. I mean, they got some real dogs in that line.
Yep.
Probably, I mean, Myles Garrett going to win defense MVP.
He probably has to, right?
And if you're asking me, no, it's T.J. Watt. I don't understand why.
T.J. Watt
has more tackles, more sacks, more pressures. Every statistical category, T.J. Watt gets it.
I don't know why. It seems like he almost gets overlooked a little bit. I'm not really sure why. No, we're not going to do that. We're not.
It has to be.
No, I mean we're going to get there. We're going to have our all white team versus black team debate at some point. But
yeah. But T.J. Watt is probably the most disrespected defensive player in the league,
I agree.
in my opinion. Year in, year out, I feel like he should have won a couple defensive player of the years and has not won one yet.
Yeah. I definitely agree there. On the topic of Laramie Tunsil, we were talking about his draft status there a little bit, but I just wanted to pull up. So he was drafted in 2016, and 2016, a lot of people can remember, was the Rams had the first pick, ended up going with Jared Goff. Yeah, and Carson Wentz was the number 2 pick. So obviously Laramie Tunsil wasn't going 1-2, and I believe from that draft, I mean, it was pretty much a gimme that Joey Bosa was the 3rd pick. I mean, I believe if I remember back correctly, a lot of people had Joey Bosa going number 3. But if you just look down this list a little bit, I mean, Zeke Elliott went 4, Jalen Ramsey went 5. Baltimore ended up taking Ronnie Stanley at 6, which I think is where Tunsil's spot was. And then if you look, San Francisco took DeVorest Buckner, who ended up traded to the Colts. And then you get pick number 8. You have Jack Conklin was taken at the Titans at number 8. So I mean that's a huge loss there for Tennessee. Then you got Chicago took Leonard Floyd. The Giants took. Can you take a guess who the Giants took at 10? He's a corner out of Ohio State. This guy.
Apple?
It was Eli Apple. Yeah, that. Wonder how that worked out for them, because they were looking for.
Still in the league.
But they were looking for a tackle there for a long time. That probably would have helped them out a little bit. Vernon Hargreaves was taken 11 to Tampa, and right before Miami took Tunsil was Sheldon Rankins in New Orleans. So that was a pretty solid tackle draft, though. I mean, Taylor Decker was the next tackle off the board.
It's definitely 2016 was definitely a solid draft, and it is something I do want to get into eventually here on the channel is doing some redrafts of some historic stuff. I think that'd be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's definitely, because I mean, you look back at a lot of these drafts, and there's a lot of good drafts. I mean, I think the last bad draft in the last 10 years was probably 2013. I mean, that was probably the last draft in remembrance that was just awful.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
No, I mean, Lane Johnson, I believe, was the best player to come out of that first round. I had to look back and see because I know there were a couple good players taken late in the first round, but you look at the first pick, Eric Fisher was the number 1 pick. I mean, he was decent. But
number 1 pick, you want more.
And then Luke Jokel was number 2. Everybody thought Luke Jokel was going to be the first pick. Turns out it was the right pick. Him not going number 1. So, Eric Fisher. I mean, he was a solid left tackle there for a while. But
yeah.
But yeah, sorry to get off track there a little bit, but I just wanted to get into.
Let's get back on track there with the Texans Browns there. Yeah. Obviously, Flacco did throw for 307 and a tutty, but the 2 picks were very costly. Texans obviously moving on there.
They're a fun team to watch.
They are.
Yeah.
They're a confident bunch, and I think they're coached really well. I've been a big.
They're coached very well, and they're all like you said. They're all young. They're all confident.
They're bought in too.
Yeah, they're all bought into the system, and you can tell everybody on that team wants to play for the guy next to him, which is a big help for them. But I mean, they're one of the younger rosters in football. So I mean, they're the fact that they've even made it this far is quite impressive.
I completely agree.
Beginning of the season, nobody's taking the Texans to win the division.
No, I mean honestly, you kind of had to figure there'd probably be a year or at least. Yeah. I definitely think they had a great draft and were on the right path.
Nobody also predicted Jacksonville's fallout either. So
I wasn't as far.
I mean, you figure Jacksonville.
I thought the Colts
were
going to win the division.
Yeah, but I mean, Jacksonville wins that last game though. We're not even having this conversation.
That's true.
Like the Texans are moving on after the first round, but they were one Jacksonville win against the worst team in the division to not even being here. So I mean,
not hosting.
Not hosting. Yeah,
they didn't make the playoffs.
But still, like they would have had they definitely would have had a harder road. I mean, you figure if the Jacksonville Jaguars did win, Texans are probably playing the Bills, right? Because the Steelers ended up getting the 7 seed, so the Texans would have played the Bills in Buffalo. Hard task.
Yeah, it would have been.
We might not be having the same conversation here.
No, I mean I agree. I definitely think the future's bright there with the Texans
100%.
Browns. Well, let's get that one wrapped up.
But that's a statement win.
Big time
Against I don't know if they finished number 1, but top 5 scoring defense in the league.
Yeah, I mean it's a very good defense, and they went out there and put it up like it was no problem, especially in the first half. So I mean, how the defense scored as many points as the Browns did.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the Texans do next week. I think that's a good matchup for them.
It's tough.
I think the Ravens are the Ravens shouldn't take them lightly. Definitely not.
Oh, but I don't think at this point in the season you can overlook anybody.
Yeah.
But let's get on to the Chiefs-Dolphins game. Obviously, though, the biggest factor with that was it was the 4th coldest game in NFL history at kickoff, and only got colder.
Yeah. So there were 15 people that were taken to the hospital for cold weather like symptoms. So I guess what you call hypothermia like symptoms, I guess. So 15.
I'm assuming the idiot with his shirt off that they kept showing on TV was one of them. That didn't go his way for sure. I thought Mike McDaniels looked absolutely terrible in the cold. I thought he had a couple interviews there where you could almost see his jaw.
Yeah. He definitely likes living in Miami.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a Florida boy for sure. I don't know where he's originally from, but he's a Florida boy through and through.
He was actually Mike McDaniel was a ball boy in Denver when he was a kid.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a ball boy for the Broncos. Yep. Fun fact.
But obviously, Mahomes didn't seem to be too affected by the cold. He threw 262, only had the 1 touchdown. I thought Rashee Rice really emerged last week. 8 catches, 130 yards, has the Chiefs rookie record now for a playoffs. Got in the end zone as well.
Yep.
Pacheco ran hard. I thought, 89 yards, a touchdown. He ran the ball pretty well.
It's hard to do anything in that type of weather. I mean, people talk about football weather, but the people who say that, most of them didn't play football when they're talking about, because there's not a soul that wants to play in that weather. I get it if you want to play in the rain, you want to play in the snow. That ain't the fucking rain or snow. That's just fucking cold. Nobody wants to play in that shit.
That's like the cold I get. Fall weather that kind of feels football-y. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of snow, but minus 30. Yeah. That's
hard to breathe. That's hard to breathe.
Football weather.
Hard to breathe. Hard to move. Hard to keep any motivation and stuff.
Did you hear about the one Chiefs player who had hand warmers in his cleats and then wrapped his cleats, and they burnt like circles on both of his feet.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't even feel it during the game. He didn't notice it until after the game. Yeah,
wow, no, I didn't.
It literally has like circle burns on top of his feet from the hand warmers.
Didn't even realize
it was that cold.
That's something.
I thought Kelsey played decent.
Yeah.
He had a couple drops in that game, but I mean, it's
he can't. Yeah,
30 below,
something like that. I mean, I noticed a couple of his drops, and there was. I think one of them was a bad ball. Yeah, 7 for 71. Yeah, 7 for 71. But I mean, the Chiefs definitely. The Chiefs haven't overperformed at all this year. The Chiefs, the amount of all the wins the Chiefs have are enough to get the job done. Like the Chiefs have, this is definitely one of the worst Chiefs teams we've seen in the last couple of years.
Offensively,
yeah,
the defense is one of the best.
The defense, this is the best defense Mahomes has played with
for sure.
Yeah,
and I think their red zone offense, they need to clean that up if they're going to be a real contender this year.
Did you see? I believe it was L'Jarius Sneed that he pressed Tyreek Hill at the line, and Tyreek Hill put on Instagram that he was pressed into Cancun. Yeah. Pressed all the way to Cancun.
It was very. Did you see the way they were changing that coverage on that pick?
Yes.
Where they went too high to one high to too high. That was pretty. You don't always see that much pre-snap movement, especially on the defensive side. They
have a good defense. I mean, Trent McDuffie played.
Trent McDuffie's good.
Playing very well. I mean, he's a first-team All-Pro.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, their defense is playing very well.
Karlaftis had a sack and a half.
Yeah, Karlaftis is becoming a good defensive end. Like he was a great defensive end coming out of college, but he's starting to really amp his game up, and that helps when you have guys like Chris Jones that demand so much attention on the defensive line. Like,
did you hear Chris Jones talk about that half a sack? Because he only got credit for a half a sack.
Oh yeah,
he was pissed. He's like, "That's my sack." I had him wrapped up.
Yeah.
And they gave half of it to. He's like, "That's the third time this year he's done it to me." So he wasn't real happy with it. But
I'd be careful if I would
Chris
mess
Jones
with
is a big
Chris.
son
I
of a
would
bitch.
not mess with Chris Jones.
Absolutely
Like
not.
I feel like he hit you with his dick one time and he'd kill you.
It's true.
If nobody's ever seen the video of him running the 40 in the combine, look it up.
Yeah, it's
It's
gold.
It'll make you feel like less of a man. But about that, we don't want to talk about too much dick on the podcast. But
I thought Nick Bolton played really well. He had 10 tackles in the game. He played well.
Nick Bolton played very well. That whole defense is playing. Spagnuolo got them guys playing very, very well. Like I said, Mahomes' best defense he's played with. Statistically, it's his worst offense he's played with, but the defense is definitely keeping them in games. And
it's still an offense thing about you. It's
when you're the best, when you're the best, or probably the most talented quarterback of all time, you can make some stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely going to be a tough team to beat. I do think McDaniel got completely outcoached in that game. I mean the Dolphins.
A lot of people are going to get
winning record
outcoached by
against the
Andy
Cowboys.
Reid. A lot of teams are going to get outcoached by Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid's
especially in the
coach.
playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tua, just to finish up here on the Dolphins, Tua had 199, a touchdown, that one pick. I mean, Tyreek Hill had 5 for 62, 53 of it came on that one touchdown play.
I just want to say something about the Dolphins. Let's not write them off yet. I mean, they're still Mike McDaniel's still a good coach. I mean, he's a young coach. He's learning. I think he has to get A-Chain involved a little bit more in the offense.
Yeah, the run game really wasn't effective for either A-Chain or
and I mean, their offensive line isn't like they've had dealt with some injuries in the offensive line. They got to have a little bit of help in the middle, in the interior of the offensive line a little bit. But I mean, their offensive line played great all year. Last couple weeks they've been banged up a little bit, but I wouldn't say write them off yet. I mean, they're still in good shape. Like they have a good team, young mind. They have a good defensive mind there, and Vic Fangio coaching their defense up. Got to think too. They lost 2 massive pass rushers.
A lot of injuries on the defensive side late in the year.
You lose 2 of your best defensive players right before the season ends, right before the playoffs. It hurts you. It definitely hurts you. Phillips and Chubb, they'll be back next year, they'll be ready to go. But
my only concern with the Dolphins moving forward is that is a team that home field advantage is going to matter so much too. And if they don't have home, I don't know if they can go into some of these cold weather stadiums and win. I mean, and you're still going to have the Bills are going to be there, the Chiefs obviously.
Yeah. My biggest question mark going forward with the Dolphins is Tua the guy, and the reason I asked that is Tyreek Hill pretty much said he's not playing for another contract. Like Tyreek Hill's pretty much said he's retiring after his contract's done. He has 2-3 more years left. Like
I can't remember.
I don't know if you watched Tua play when Tyreek Hill's not on the field. It's not pretty.
It's definitely. I mean, Tyreek Hill.
He changes an offense.
He's not just fast. I mean, he's a good route runner.
Great route runner. The guy's always wide open somehow. I don't know how, but is Tua the guy? Can Tua get it done without having a guy like that?
I did see a post that they are looking to extend him, so they think he is the guy.
Yeah.
And I think they'll move.
I mean, if you look at somebody like Mahomes is getting it done with Rashee Rice. I mean, Kelsey's been kind of like when you have no receivers on your team, they can take Kelsey out of a game.
Yeah,
but I mean, when you have a guy like it's hard to take Tyreek Hill out of a game.
It is.
So I mean, what is Tua going to be able to take over the game without having crazy good receivers? I mean, we'll see. It's not that we have to worry about anytime soon, but we'll see. We'll see how he does.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to cost $40+ million to find that out, and I think he gets the money. I think we'll find it out and see what he does next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jalen Waddle not being 100% right the end of the year doesn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
But let's move on from that one there. Let's get into the. You spoke of wide open receivers. Let's get into the Packers-Cowboys game because I feel like every time I looked up, Green Bay had a wide open receiver somewhere.
Yep.
It felt like
first team All-Pro Deron Bland.
Yeah.
Hey, he has everybody blindsided with all these pick sixes, but
I mean, same thing Trayvon Diggs did last year. I don't think Trayvon Diggs is all that great either.
I don't either.
As far as a cover corner, I mean, turnover machine maybe, but
yeah. I mean, like that the Cowboys corners have been known for that. Deron Bland this year, you said Trayvon Diggs, but when you watch him against a number one receiver, it ain't pretty. And
not normally, no.
The Packers, and no offense to any of the Packers receivers, because they're all a bunch of young guys that are all playing very, very well. But they're all young, and like nobody knew who Jaden Daniels was last season. I know Jaden Daniels didn't really do much in the game this weekend, but I mean, DaRon Bland was getting. I think it was done or that. Yeah. Sorry,
Jaden Daniels ain't in the league yet, buddy.
Jaden Daniels. Yeah, Jaden Reed. My bad. See, I don't even know who the fucking guy is. Jaden Reed. Sorry about that. And I think Dontavian Wicks was getting the best of DaRon Bland there for a little bit. I mean, their best receiver, Christian Watson, is still nursing an injury. He played, but didn't really contribute too much. But I mean, they just look bad defensively.
Yeah, there was a big gashing, and like blown coverages almost everywhere. I felt like Jordan Love threw the ball a hell of a lot more than he did, just because it was big chunks. I mean, he only completed 16 balls. I mean, Romeo Doubs. Yeah, Romeo Doubs had a monster game. Had 6 catches, 151 yards, had a touchdown. Seemed like every big play, he was making it. Love throws for 272, 3 touchdowns in that game, and then obviously, Aaron Jones ran the ball well, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns for Aaron Jones. Him going back into his hometown or home state and just announcing ownership over the Cowboys for sure. So and obviously Darnell Savage has that pick 6 there that ended some Cowboys TV screens I've seen across the interwaves. Yep. Obviously, Jair Alexander came back in that game, too. It was good to see him back out there. Did have a pick.
Jair Alexander played very well against CeeDee Lamb. I know CeeDee Lamb had 9 catches for 110 yards.
He also had 17 targets.
Yeah, they were throwing, like you said, we were talking about this before the show. I mean, Dak Prescott finished with 403 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was 41 for 60. I mean, they were throwing. They were behind.
Yeah,
they were behind the whole game. So
most of Prescott's stats were in garbage time. Dak Prescott's a great fantasy quarterback, but I don't want him as my quarterback.
Right. Like Tony Pollard had 15 carries that game, but I mean they were behind. I mean they were on offense most of the game. Like if you look at time of possession, I mean they were on offense a lot. I mean, like you said, Jordan Love threw the ball 16 times.
No,
they weren't.
He threw the ball 21 times.
21 times. Completed 16 passes, but he only completed 16 passes and they scored 48 points. Mm-hmm. Like they were more efficient on offense. They were getting bigger chunk plays. Like it. So Dallas was on the field. So like these Dak Prescott stats
are very misleading.
Yeah, they're very misleading.
It's one of them deals where stats don't always tell a story.
No.
I mean, obviously, CD looks like he had a great game, but if you really break it down, I mean, he completed a pass to him half the percent of the time he threw the ball to him.
I mean, Jair Alexander played him very well.
Yeah.
Jair Alexander is one of the best corners in the league. Dude talks a lot.
Yeah,
he talks a lot of shit, and half the time I don't understand what the fuck he's saying because he's kind of hard to understand. But he's damn good corner.
Yeah,
damn good corner.
I mean, you look at it just on the defensive side of the ball. Green Bay had 4 sacks in a game. Dallas had none.
Yeah. Big game change.
And
when you have a guy like Micah Parsons, you gotta.
And Marcus Lawrence, and there's some studs still in that.
Yeah. And if you look at the Packers' offensive line, the Packers don't have a great offensive line.
Not anymore.
No. I mean, their best lineman hasn't played a game in like fucking 3 years. It seems like
barely. Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I saw Bakhtiari on the field.
He'll play like 1 or 2 games.
I can't believe the dude's still around, like lingering in the league. Like he's always hurt.
He still never got healthy from.
He's the future left tackle of the New York Jets, but I mean,
probably.
Like let's be realistic here. But I mean, they don't have I don't want no disrespect to the Packers' offensive line, but I mean, they don't have like a stud on their offensive line.
Yeah, they don't have any of your big name guys.
No,
on that.
I mean, they're coached very well and they're getting the job done.
I do think they run a very good play action, which helps.
Yeah,
their play action.
Jordan Love is very good, very good with the play fake. And I mean, he has a lot of Aaron Rodgers in him. Like just the way he throws the ball, the way he drops back in the pocket. Like he's throwing a couple sidearm passes around defensive ends. Like he's looked very good. And I think a big thing with Jordan Love is he's played clean football. Like he like you said, he had 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against that defense.
Yeah,
that defense has been a turnover machine all year.
That defense did not turn a single ball over this week.
Yeah, like Jordan Love. Just the efficiency, the style of play that Matt LaFleur wants to play, and there in Green Bay. I mean, they're playing very well and they're taking care of the ball. That's the most important part. Like, I think they're showing if you can just be efficient, It's gonna make some big changes. So, and they started doing that halfway through the season. Jordan Love's back end of the season was very good.
Yeah.
He's starting to become a very good quarterback in the league, and I think that was kind of his coming out game to show people like, look, we're for real. We're not a slouch. So they're a very well coached team.
Yeah, they are. I haven't been the biggest Jordan Love supporter all year, but he looked really well. I mean, a lot of off-platform throws, off his back foot, a lot of arm strength there.
Confidence.
Yeah,
a lot of confidence in his throws.
I don't want to say he won me over, but he definitely took a big step.
Yeah,
and I think my issue with Jordan Love was more with the Packers organization and how they treated Rodgers on the way out. So I think I'm a little unfairly hard on him.
I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy.
I am too.
I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy. So I mean, he's been kind of annoying on the McAfee show here recently, but I mean, I still like him. I still love the guy. Like he's just he gets a little off topic and annoying.
He's an interesting guy. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a smart guy, but he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
But let's move in move away from an interesting guy to what I thought was the best game of the weekend. And probably the most.
It was probably the most hyped game of the weekend.
Yeah, it was the most interesting storyline of the game. Yep. Obviously, Matty Stafford coming back into Detroit there against Jared Goff. Obviously, they were traded for each other.
Yep.
The Lions get it done. That's a game that the old Lions lost.
Yep.
They found a way to hold on there, especially end of the game there, running the clock out last 4 minutes of the game. First playoff win in 32 years for Detroit. So
and I just want to say one thing before we get into like some of the topics of that game. Congratulations to the Lions. I think the Lions have been one of my favorite teams in the league this year. We talk about DC every week on the show. I'm glad. I think the Lions are going to be tough for anybody going forward. But this here is for Lions fans. Why in the fuck are you booing Matt Stafford? I understand it's a playoff game. You're hyped for you're hosting your first playoff game in God knows how fucking long. Like Matt Stafford brought y'all through a lot of darkness and a lot of hard times. That dude would have played if he had a broken fucking leg. Like he's a tough guy was playing. Sure. Like the guy didn't sit out for anything. So, I mean, he brought you through a lot of hard times and the best times of Detroit football that we've seen up until just this year.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's a little disrespectful for the fans to boo him the way they did. I understand the situation. He's the away team.
I have the same sentiment too. I have a hard time booing all-time greats in your organization. I don't care if they're playing someplace else.
Right.
I have a hard time with it. And these guys give you your heart and soul for everything they had. And it's not like he left and walked away from that.
Yeah. It's not like it was his idea to get traded. Sure,
I think he did ask for a trade because he wanted out. Because they just weren't going anywhere at that time. But I do think he asked out.
But I think I still think Matt Stafford's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. I think you put Matt Stafford on this team instead of Jared Goff. I think the Lions are significantly better than what they are. And that's just my opinion.
That big. I mean, I would take Stafford over Goff, but I don't think the gap's as big as a lot of people think.
I do. I think the turnovers that Goff has shown kind of throughout the season a little bit. I think Matt Stafford would just run that offense a little bit more efficiently. But I mean, it's hard to be said. I mean, Matt Stafford's never thrown to these guys that are on this team, so I mean, who knows? So it's just one of those things. Like it's kind of hearsay. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I love Matt Stafford as a quarterback. But I mean, Jared Goff's getting it done. He's definitely Jared Goff's proven he's the guy there.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he had 277, a touchdown in this game. Obviously, Josh Reynolds, who was he a part of that trade or just came? He used to play. He played for the Rams as well. So
I think he played for the Rams when Goff was there.
Yeah. So, I mean, they played.
He was on the Super Bowl. He was on the Super Bowl team.
I mean, he had 5 for 80. So I mean, that's cool for him coming back against his old team there.
Yeah, and he was beginning of the game there. I mean, he was open.
Yeah,
the entire game.
Obviously, Amon-Ra does what he does. He had 7 for 110. He played well. I was really surprised that Sam Laporta played. And not only did he play, he found the end zone.
Yeah.
Didn't have a whole lot of catches or yards or anything like that, but he's on the field when he probably shouldn't have been.
Yep.
And from everything I was hearing, and then obviously the man on defense there, Aiden Hutchinson has 2 sacks again. Like this guy, in the last 3-4 weeks of the season, we can't stop talking about him because
the dude just keeps
playing well.
Yep.
He also had 2 tackles for loss as well. So, I mean, he continues to ball out on that defense. And I'm excited to see where he goes. I think that defense needs a couple more pieces in the offseason to really be elite, but I think they're going in the right direction for sure.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford, obviously, 362 yards, 2 touchdowns against his former team in their building. It's an impressive feat there for me on him.
Yeah, and I think he played very well. Puka Nacua, I mean, what else can you say about
Yeah, Puka, 9 catches, 181, a touchdown.
Yeah.
Has the NFL rookie record for yards in a playoff game.
Yeah, that is the dude just insane. And like I've been wondering recently, like, where's Cooper Kupp been? I mean, if you look at the stats for this weekend, Cooper Kupp was the sixth leading receiver on his team.
He's almost a decoy.
Like he had five receptions for 27 yards, and I mean he had as far as yardage goes, I mean Davis Allen had 2 catches for 28 yards, so little bit bigger plays. Tutu Atwell had 1 catch for 38 yards and that touchdown. Demarcus Robinson had 3 catches for 44 yards. So, I mean, Puka's kind of like an afterthought. Or not Puka. Cooper Kupp's been more of an afterthought in that offense. And like you said, he's pretty much a decoy. I mean, you got guys putting a lot of attention on him, and that's left Puka just wanting the middle of the field wide open. But give him a lot of credit. I mean, the kid's playing good, and he just fits the way Sean McVay wants to play football and wants to throw the ball. I think he has a very bright future in the league, and I think he fits very well in that team,
especially in that system. Yeah, I mean, I do think he's the next coming of Cooper.
Yeah,
obviously Cooper was one of the best receivers there in the league for a couple of years. Not the longest prime for him, but I mean, I still think he's going to be relevant. Especially he was banged up at the beginning of the year, so just coming back from that. And I thought Ernest Jones played well for them on D. He had 2 sacks in the game as well. I thought, he seems to always kind of show up in big moments too. I think he's a very underrated linebacker. And
then the duo in Detroit again, the running backs. I mean, them guys just seem to find the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, both of them score.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times it's been this year. I didn't look up a stat, but how many times have both of them found the end zone?
It's been quite a few.
They complement each other so well. Them two. I mean, Dave Montgomery, he's going to get you them hard, tough yards, just downhill running, and he still has some speed to him. And Jahmyr Gibbs just adds a different style run or play to that team.
He's definitely fit well for what Dan Campbell and them are trying to do. It does seem like a kind of a thunder lightning style back.
Yep.
Going back to the old SC days with Reggie Bush and LaDainian.
Yeah, I mean, it gets similar amount of touches. I mean, you figure David Montgomery had 14 carries for 57. Jahmyr Gibbs had 8 carries for 25. But if you look at in the receiving game, Jahmyr Gibbs also had 4 catches for 43 yards.
Yeah, he can hurt you both ways.
So, like he's hurting you 2 different ways. Montgomery did have a catch for 11 yards, but Jahmyr Gibbs, he gets it done too. So, I mean, it adds a little bit of a different style. So, I mean, depending on who you have on the field, it's a different offense.
It is.
It's definitely a different offense. And Dan Campbell has some guys playing really good. They're very aggressive up front. That offensive line.
They're very aggressive, period.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at, going back to that running the clock out 4 minutes ago in the game, second down, he's throwing the ball to win that game, essentially. And Dan Campbell's got big old brass balls.
Yep.
And there's not very many coaches out there that are taking that risk to stopping the clock and letting them get a chance to get that football back. Because in all honesty, if you give that football back, high likelihood Matt Stafford's going to beat you. Because that's what Matt Stafford does.
That's what Matt Stafford does.
So you have to come out there on second down and throw that ball takes a lot of courage, a lot of guts, and that's just kind of been the Lions all year. They've been a very aggressive team all season, and they're obviously still in the running for the bowl. They're one of the 4 teams that have never made it to the Super Bowl. There's actually 2 of them still left now, with Houston still being one of the 4 that's never been there. So we could get maybe that list shrinking this year.
I'd love to see it happen.
I would say.
I think San Francisco's been my pick to win the Super Bowl for quite some time now.
They're tough.
But I mean, you're talking overall roster. I mean, they have a roster.
Yeah, there's not many holes on that roster.
They have my favorite coach in the NFL.
Shanahan's good.
Shanahan's a very good coach. I love the way he runs his offense. I'm still bitter. I'll never forgive the Broncos for not hiring him over Vance Joseph. I mean, that was
a whiff on that one.
Yeah, that was definitely a whiff, and I mean they whiffed on a lot of shit. So that's for a whole nother day. But I mean, yeah, definitely great game there. Was my favorite game going into the weekend. It was my favorite game leaving the weekend.
It honestly really was the only game that was a good game this weekend as far as for both teams being involved. But let's get into the next one here. Obviously, Steelers at Bills. First thought on that, obviously the weather, moving that game back a day. I thought they did a really good job with the field, getting that ready for that. Obviously, fans in there shoveling their ways to their seats.
How much shoveling were they actually doing though? Because everything I saw, they were sliding.
There's a lot of dicking around, but that's Bills Mafia for you.
$20 an hour though. I mean, that's how I would have did
it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I was obviously moving that game a day. I don't know if it really impacted anything as far as that goes. The field looked pretty decent. Fans were loud. Josh Allen played well. Only had 203 yards in the air, but had 3 touchdowns and had 74 rushes on the ground.
Yeah.
Or 74 yards on the ground and another touchdown there.
I did a lot of big plays there, too. A lot of big plays on that team.
Yeah. I did want to get your take on, did he fake slide?
I don't believe so.
I
don't think it was as obvious as the Kenny Pickett fake slide. I mean, there was a little bit of a hesitation, but I think that's more of what it was.
Yeah, I think it was
step back hesitation. I think Pittsburgh just wasn't expecting him to just keep going. I thought Pittsburgh thought he was going to slide. Yeah. Didn't really. I personally didn't see a fake slide in there, but I just think that Pittsburgh took his body language. He was slowing down, 100%.
Yeah,
but.
If he did fake slide it, I love it because it's against Kenny Pickett, who obviously got in trouble for it. Who did get in trouble for it?
Who got the fake slide outlawed.
Which I don't love.
I love dirty. I mean, that play was dirty when he did it.
Yeah, I love the fake slide. I wish it was legal. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett faked out an entire city with that shit.
Yeah.
That was impressive. I remember watching that live. And that was just damn impressive. I was like, holy shit, he just did that. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do that before.
I don't think so, and I love it. I think it should be illegal. I think it should be a legal play in my opinion, but I don't think we're ever going to win that battle.
Yeah.
But the Bills did get back to run the ball with James Conner at 79 yards. He looked pretty well on the ground. And the Steelers offense just had such a slow start to the game that really kind of put him behind the 8 ball and just gave him no chance to come back in it. Najee looked bad. I didn't think he looked very good in this one. Only had 37 yards.
He's been coming on. He's been coming on here of late.
He played well until this week.
Yeah, this week he looked slow. He looked outmatched a little bit. And
Bill's defense is good.
Yeah,
obviously
Ed Oliver's
Ed Oliver.
He is a stud in the run game. Like he was moving 3 people and making sure nobody was coming through that line.
He's a mammoth of a man.
But I mean, you're talking studs in the run game. I mean, old Cam Hayward's still getting it done. Like I remember we were watching. They were getting ready to do the tush push, and Cam Hayward just fucking putting people back. Like that dude is hard to move. I mean, Josh Allen still got it because it's Josh Allen. It's hard to stop that play, but especially when you got 2 people pushing behind you. But
it did seem like James Cook really took advantage when he was off the field. It's like
100%.
when they knew when Hayward was off the field, they were running that ball, and that's when they got most of that success. Obviously, the Steelers turned the ball over twice in that game. Doesn't help at all.
Yep.
Mason looked kind of like Mason, kind of like what I expected to.
Yeah.
I think that run of Mason Rudolph is over. I don't know. I mean, he'll be a backup someplace, but I don't think he's ever going to be the guy.
I think he stays in Pittsburgh as a backup.
Yeah, so do I.
I think Mason Rudolph's just one of them Pittsburgh guys that just knows the way they run the team and what the system's like. And I mean, no matter, I don't think it matters who the quarterback is there. I think Mason Rudolph still finds himself a roster spot there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I do think Trubisky, there's no chance in hell he's back there.
No.
So we'll see what happens with Pickett and him in training camp.
Yeah.
But I did see Tomlin did confirm he is coming back for
by walking off the stage.
The 18th season there, yeah. So
kind of an awkward question to ask a guy after he just lost a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is, and well, speaking of awkward, we'll get into that here with the next game too, and my opinions there. But I don't really have much more to say about the Steelers Bills.
No,
game.
I mean that was probably the most boring game of the weekend, in my opinion.
For a large part of it, the Bills dominated that game, and then
and I think we all knew who was going to dominate that game.
Yeah, the Steelers kind of made it close, a little bit closer there late, but the game was never really in doubt at any point there.
I guess that brings us to the biggest dumpster fire in the NFL, right?
The game that was apparently never in doubt.
Yeah.
I did not see coming. The Eagles-Bucks, where the Bucks just absolutely dump truck Philly.
Yeah.
I was absolutely shocked by that, and I kept just waiting for Philly to get it going, and it just never happened.
I'm telling you, I've seen worse offenses in just youth football, or better offenses in youth football.
Yeah, it was
not
very
worse, but
it was just very bland, very just not missing on things they should have missed. The 3rd and 2 early where Devontae runs the wrong route, and it just seemed like they needed one big play to kind of get going, and just never got it. I did think Devontae played decent in that game. He had 8 for 148.
I think a big problem on this Eagles team is if you just look at the box score and look at the stats here for a second. DeAndre Swift had 10 carries for 34 yards. Jalen Hurts had 1 carry for 5 yards. Which, how often does that happen?
Yeah, no, I had a parlay on him over 25 yards and a touchdown, and it didn't fucking hit. So, thanks.
Kenneth Gainwell had 4 carries for 3 yards. So, I mean, they averaged under 5 yards a carry, and only carried the ball a total of 15 times.
Yeah, there wasn't any commitment to the run game.
You have the best offensive line in the league and the best.
They were every single one's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, you have the best run blocking person. I believe they're the best run blocking offense in the league. Or offensive line in the league, and you're not running the ball. I think they kind of went away from it too soon.
Yeah, I get it. Tampa's good, and Vita Vea.
Yeah, Vita Vea is just
a problem.
Hard to move. Yeah, hard to move.
But I think there wasn't enough commitment there, and Sirianni kind of looked lost at times. And I really, truly think something happened in that locker room that just utterly changed. You don't go from 10-1 and being as good as a roster as they were to losing 6 of your last 7.
I think Sirianni definitely lost that locker room.
And not really competing in that. I mean, there's several guys that came out, like Lane Johnson, and then said that there will be changes for next year. He did say he does want to come back, as well as Brandon Graham did say he's interested in coming back if they'll have him for a goodbye tour.
Yep.
I did want to talk about the report. Obviously, there was a report that Jason Kelce had told the locker room that he intended to hang it up. He did dispel that today on the New Heights podcast. He said he purposely did not address that because he does not feel that is the right time after a tough loss, a hard game.
There's a lot of emotions running there. Like you can't. You're in that position. You can't make an emotional decision. You gotta go home. You gotta think about it. You gotta rest for a little bit. Like that's not something you do when when your season ends.
Yeah, and Jason, he's struggled with it for a long time. He got a little bit emotional there today on the cast. I think he does retire eventually. I did hear him say earlier in the year that this is the first time in his career he's ever been still sore and tired on Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays, yep.
So I do think it's trending in that direction. Obviously he's had a world-class career. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt in my mind.
He's the best player to ever play at his position, and I don't even think it's close.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either.
I mean, Jeff Saturday is there, but I mean, I think him and Jeff Saturday are just on two completely different levels.
They're two of the best times that ever did it.
I've never seen a center pull block the way Jason Kelce has. I don't know if I've ever seen another center pull block. I know.
Happen a lot.
Well, Frank Ragnow does it pretty well. I mean, you got to be.
Ragnow played well this year too.
You got to be a good center and a quick center to be able to do that. But like Frank Ragnow does it very well. Dude that used to play Travis Frederick when he was with the Cowboys, he did it from time to time. But Kelce does it a lot. And Kelce's, I mean, not a lot of centers are going to be able to get out there and make those blocks if they are pulling. He's getting up to the third level and taking out safeties, taking out corners second level. Like dude can move. And I was watching some flashbacks of his career. I mean, Jason Kelce's my favorite player in the league, and I was watching some flashbacks this morning actually where I forget what game it was. I was just watching briefly. He went out on a pull block and took out 3 dudes using one hand on a run play. Literally had a linebacker with his right hand extended and pretty much pushed him 15 yards till he got to the next level and used that guy to take out 2 more dudes.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely special.
Yeah, like if this was his last game that he ever played, I mean, it's definitely a sad day that he's not going to be playing anymore. And yeah, he's done so much for offensive linemen in the league. Like he's just a good dude, and it's hard not to root for a guy like that.
Yeah, it is, and Jason's been awesome to to watch and get to know through his off the field things he's got going on with the podcast and the documentary that he did. It's phenomenal.
Yep. And I think Philly's in good hands with who they have behind him. I mean, Cam Jurgens most likely will be the one that moves over and plays center. So I mean,
they got some question marks for sure in Philly with just a couple different positions.
Yeah. I think on their offensive line, I mean, I think everybody for their team for next year is in house. I think Jurgens moves over to center and Tyler Steen ends up coming in and playing guard. I think that's pretty much the easy solution. A couple other things you can look at, though. I mean, Landon Dickerson was a great center in college. Yeah. Does Landon Dickerson move over? I think he's kind of found himself a home at guard. But I think Jurgens is the more... Jurgens out of Nebraska, I think, is probably the better pick at center. I think it's kind of what they've been grooming him for. And if Kelsey was out, I think he was the option to go in if Kelsey was out.
I don't know, it never really happens.
Yeah, so I mean, Kelsey plays.
Yeah, he's an Iron Man. Yeah, he's played so much.
Just losing somebody like that in your locker room.
He's a great locker room.
Is a big thing.
He's a big leader.
He's a leader, and I think they need that right now because I don't think they're really getting it with.
I think Sirianni's gone. Yeah. So we'll see.
I hate Sirianni. I've been saying it for years that he's not a good coach. I think he just inherited the second best roster in football. He inherited. I mean, he had great coordinators last year. Shane Steichen, you see what he did in Indianapolis, and even Jonathan Gannon. I think Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals overperformed this year.
Oh, I agree.
So I mean, like everybody made fun of him, like when he took the job, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, great, get him out of Philly." Well, I bet you any Philly fan would take Jonathan Gannon back in a fucking heartbeat with the Sean Desai and Matt Patricia experiment this year.
It just seemed like an odd move there, too, late in the year for them to kind of a rash decision. They had one bad game, and then they changed coordinators, and that's tough to learn.
Yeah.
A new defense, that late
way, just the way the guys want, like the guys play, the way Patricia wants to play, the way he schemes it up, like they're two completely different coordinators. Like they coach two completely different types of defense. What the hell did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, it's
I think that's a bad move by Sirianni. Once again, I don't think Sirianni's a good coach. I think he's just a guy that talks out of his ass, and he inherited a very good team. But I agree with you. I think Mike Vrabel would be a massive fit there.
Works well.
Just because of the guy he is. Mm-hmm. I think he can. I think that locker room right now is lacking the leadership and lacking leadership from a coach's aspect.
Yeah,
and I think Vrabel is like the best guy on the market right now for that.
I completely agree. I can definitely see
Vrabel's a proven coach. Like, not saying he's going to be the best X's and O's guy, but he'll bring in guys that'll get the job done. I can promise you.
Vrabel's teams play sound.
Yeah,
and he's a good leader in the locker room there.
I mean, and the Eagles are designed to run the ball. What did Vrabel do very, very well in Tennessee for how many years?
I
don't know I don't know if you realize, but there's a certain somebody that's a free agent this year.
That is true.
So I mean, then DeAndre Swift's on a 1-year contract. He's a free agent this year. Does Philly bring in Derrick Henry?
It wouldn't surprise me. If Vrabel's there, it wouldn't surprise me. I could see Derrick Henry going there.
I can definitely see it. I think a big thing, too, is it seems like A.J. Brown's not very happy. So
yeah, it does seem like there's something going on.
There's something going on there. I don't know what's going on with him and Hurts. Looked like Dallas Goedert had some words for Hurts this weekend on the sideline.
Yeah, they definitely got into it a couple times on the sideline there. So I think something happened off the field. I think honestly in that locker room.
And it seems like a lot of people seem to have an issue with Jalen Hurts in that locker room. So I'd like to know what I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that locker room, because it seems like not everybody's really surrounding around Jalen Hurts, which. Not really.
I truly think something happened off the field there.
And I mean, you see, Jalen Hurts is a different type of leader. Like, the guy's always locked in, but like you see a lot of guys, like Brady. When Brady used to have issues on the side, like with his team and stuff going on, like Brady's getting his guys and talking to his guys on the sideline when the defense is on the field. Brady's getting them guys going. What's Jalen Hurts doing when he's on the field, or when he's not on the field? He sits on the bench and just stares into outer space.
Yeah, it's definitely a different style. He's more of a lead by example than by word kind of guy.
Yep. So. And he always wants the ball in his hands. It seems like he just doesn't have the trust in anybody else. It kind of feels so.
Maybe. But let's get to the Bucks there. Obviously Baker played well. 333, 2 tuds. Or, I'm sorry, 337, 2 tuds.
3 tuds.
3. I just I have it wrote down 3 tuds.
Right. You can't read. I can't read your handwriting either.
apparently.
Yeah.
Rashad White played well. He had 72 yards in that game. I thought he played pretty well.
Yep. Rashad White is a good running back.
Yeah, he runs hard.
Yeah.
And I don't have any problems with him. Obviously, the Bucs defense played phenomenal.
Yeah.
Shutting that run down and making everything hard for.
I think a standout player this week for them too was Cade Otton, tight end.
Yeah, Cade Otton played well.
He had eight catches for 89 yards, and I didn't see how many times he was targeted, but he was targeted a lot more than what. I mean, he dropped a couple passes.
Yeah.
I mean, he dropped a couple big passes. I mean, he dropped a 25-yard pass right through his hands. But he's been very reliable for Baker Mayfield with them winning these games, and I think kind of Philly doesn't defend the tight end very well. Their linebackers are very suspect. They just didn't tackle well either. So I mean, you have a lot of guys. Their tackling was I mean, you have a lot of guys. If you look,
guys can't tackle shit.
If you look at the Bucs receiving stats for this weekend, you had a guy like David Moore, 2 catches for 66 yards, 33 average. Trey Palmer had a 56-yard touchdown catch. Mike Evans had 3 catches for 48 yards. Chris Godwin, 4 catches for 45 yards. I mean, Payne Durham, I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you. Assuming he's a backup tight end. 1 catch for 18 yards. Like, a lot of guys averaging big chunk plays. Like, there are a lot of big chunk plays there. So, just a lot of poor tackling, poor scheming, stuff like that. But, I mean, shout out to the Bucs offense. I mean, they went out there and played very well, and guys got it done that you wouldn't expect. Like, Mike Evans, like I said, 3 catches for 48 yards. Wasn't really involved all that much. Chris Godwin, 4 catches for 45 yards. Similar stats. You're relying on guys like Cade Otton, Trey Palmer, David Moore. Like, them guys are out there getting it done. But Rashad White carried the ball 18 times. So, I mean, he carried a big load on that offense.
Yeah, the Eagles. My biggest takeaway is just the Eagles couldn't tackle anything.
Yeah,
and that obviously ended up being the difference in that game. I thought.
Absolutely.
And they just couldn't catch the one big play on offense.
Nope.
I think where it really would have ignited that team. I think if they got off and got a score there early.
Yeah, and their one touchdown that they had was driven by a big play on offense. They just didn't have enough of them. They had that one, what was it, 40-yard Devontae Smith pass. That was huge for them.
Yeah, Devontae was really the only one on that offense that looked like he wanted to play.
Well, Devontae had, 148 yards, I believe.
148 for 148. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look across the board at the stats, it pretty much shows that way, too. Devontae Smith's one of them guys. He needs to be in an Eagles uniform for a long time. That's a guy you can't lose in your team. He's definitely he's a Philly guy. He wants to be there. He wants to win with his guys, and he went out and played. Like he definitely showed he was one of the guys that wanted to be there.
Yeah, and I would agree absolutely with that. But let's wrap that up there and get on to look ahead here for the divisional round. Obviously, Saturday here, 4:30 game. We got the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are 9.5-point favorites in this one.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a hard road for the Texans. I mean, Baltimore is not an easy place to play. Lamar Jackson.
Weather there, I believe, too.
Yeah. We're supposed to get snow here on Friday.
Friday, so I would assume they're going to
get some snow.
Well. We're not that far.
We're about an hour from the stadium, so they're going to get some snow there. So we'll see how the Texans are used to playing in a dome. So, but I think this is where the Texans' road ends. I thought the Texans' road was going to end last week, but Ravens' offense is just very high powered. Their defense is very good. I like the Ravens here. Against or minus a 9. What did you say? 9.5.
9.5 is the line right now.
So I like the Ravens minus 9.5.
This one's tough for me because I'm a big Texans fan at this point in my life, which I never thought I'd say. But 9.5 seems like a lot. I do think Baltimore's the better roster. Obviously, you just break it down position by position. I think Baltimore has an advantage in most of them. I think the Texans receivers are better for sure than Baltimore's. I think Baltimore wins this game. 9.5 seems like a lot for me. I'm going to take the Texans with the points, but I think Baltimore does win that game.
The points are hard. I mean, it really
9.5 in a playoff game seems like a lot.
It's a lot
for me. But I'll take the Texans there.
But I think we both agree Ravens win the game.
Yeah, I think the Ravens win the game. I think it feels like a 7-point game.
9.5 seems like just too many for me.
Yeah.
And CJ Stroud is just won me over enough to where I think he's a freaking phenomenal quarterback.
I can't wait to see the rest of his career. I think he's going to blow up.
Looks good.
Yeah.
It looks pretty damn good.
Yeah. That dude, you can just some of these throws he makes. That dude can just sling the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can really sling it.
Too. That's one of the ESPN games.
Yep.
And our second game up here, Saturday night, 8:15 game on Fox. We got Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are 9.5-point favorites as well.
Same thing there. Number 1 seed again. 9.5 point favorites. I like the 49ers. I think the Packers are a very good team. I just think the 49ers are a hard matchup for anybody. I mean, shout out to the Packers for what they've done this year, but the 49ers, I think, are just a hard match for anyone.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But for anybody, the Niners are going to be tough to beat. I think Green Bay has greatly exceeded expectations this year. I didn't think they were going to be a playoff team. Obviously, they're in the divisional, so they've done well. I do think that game against Dallas, they played a perfect game. I really honestly, they didn't really make any mistakes. It seems like they called the right plays at the right times, and it was just a perfect game for that.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but the Packers actually have more wins in AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys do in the playoffs, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm a ride with Christian McCaffrey, getting the week off, getting a little healthy there. I think Purdy's going to play well in that game.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Niners defense.
I think the biggest question mark is in the trenches. I mean, the Packers have a very good defensive line. Can the Niners run the ball effectively against them? You're definitely going to see a little bit of the Shanahan offense coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, because LaFleur coached under Shanahan.
Yeah, they did. Both had the same tree.
Yeah, LaFleur knows what Shanahan's going to run. So I'm curious to see what Shanahan's going to have in store for that. He could probably Debo's going to be running around a lot. McCaffrey's going to be running around a lot. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to be huge in this game.
I think McCaffrey has a big receiving day.
Yeah, 100%. Get him out in space.
Yeah, I think I kind of. For some reason, I feel like McCaffrey has a really good receiving day and Debo has a really good running day.
Yeah.
It's
one of them weird things. Yeah,
I feel
kind of the opposite of what you think is going to happen. You kind of have to. I mean, but that's what the Niners are going to have to do to confuse everybody.
Yeah, and Ayuk's just going to do what Ayuk does. Kittle could have a big day in this one too. I think that's
somebody out of the ordinary. I think is going to have a big day here. I can see a guy like Juwan Jennings having 5 catches for 60, 70 yards.
Yeah.
Like I can see something like that. I can see a guy like Elijah Mitchell having some carries and getting involved here. Maybe moving McCaffrey around a little bit and having Mitchell run the ball a little bit. I can definitely see that happening, using McCaffrey and Debo as decoys, because a lot of people forget about Elijah Mitchell, but Elijah Mitchell can run the damn ball.
Yeah, he's damn good.
Damn good. He gets forgotten about a lot because their top 2 running options are Debo and McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Who the hell would
You can definitely do worse for a backup running back, for sure.
I mean, and when you get past Elijah Mitchell, I mean, you got Jordan Mason, who's also pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Niners are going to have to run the ball very well against a good Packers defense.
In the league, too.
Yeah.
And Kyle Juszczyk.
Yep. Yeah, Kyle.
Shout out to Kyle Juszczyk's wife for making all the attire that's blowing up everywhere apparently right now.
I had to see freaking Patrick Mahomes' wife a little bit more than I wanted to. But
you see him on all Taylor Swift posts, like he's in the comment section supporting her. That's cool to see.
Yep.
Don't let my wife see that. Thanks.
Oh, I'm telling you, she's gonna blow up now with that. Did you see the one that he made for Taylor Lautner in Detroit?
Yes, I don't like that one.
I like that one. I liked it.
A little too
I kind of want one.
A little too far for me on that one. But let's get in here. Sunday games here. Tampa Bay Bucks at the Detroit Lions here. The Lions are 6.5-point favorites. That's a 3:00 game on Sunday.
I like the Lions. I think the Bucks have played very well. Kudos to Baker Mayfield. I think he's the guy there next year. I think he should be the guy there next year. We'll see what happens. Right. We'll see what happens there. I think they'll be in the draft market for one this year. I can definitely see them taking a quarterback in the second round, maybe grooming him under Baker.
Baker's not that old.
I can still.
I feel like Baker's got a raw deal in the league. I really do.
Baker definitely. I mean, the Browns destroyed him.
He didn't play bad there, though.
I understand that.
He got ran out of there, but really way too soon, in my opinion.
It's the Browns.
It's the Browns.
And
that's a Browns move.
Then the guy had to kind of reconfigure his career. I mean, he goes and plays in Carolina. Then he played for probably the worst run team in the league.
Oh, Carolina's by far the worst run team.
I mean, then he goes.
They were the new Browns.
Yeah,
that's
right. They're the new
Browns of this era.
Then he goes to L.A. with Sean McVay, and Sean McVay has some confidence in him, beats the brakes off the Broncos on Christmas Day, and then ends up getting himself a job the next season as a starter. I think he's earned it. I think he earned that he's a top 32 quarterback in the league.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I don't think there's.
I love Baker Mayfield. I think he should be a starter somewhere. If it's not in Tampa Bay, it should be somewhere.
Hey, if we don't go Jaden Daniels in the draft, I'll take him.
Yeah, I'll take him. If he's a day one starter in Denver next year, I think Baker Mayfield will play a hell of a lot better than Russell Wilson.
I would agree.
I mean, you look a lot of places. There's a lot of places Baker Mayfield can go.
Mayfield's
you put Baker Mayfield in Atlanta. Atlanta probably makes the playoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You give him them weapons that he has.
Yeah, they're absolutely deadly.
Like Baker Mayfield deserves to be a quarterback somewhere. Although I think the Lions' offense is just a little bit too much for that Bucs defense.
I do too. The Lions' offense it's deadly. They got weapons everywhere.
Yep.
Jared Goff's playing well. Obviously, I've been a big fan of Dan Campbell all season. I'm not going to stop now.
Yep.
So I'll take the Detroit Lions there.
I can see the Lions putting some points up in this game. I can see I think the Bucs will put up some points too. I'm just going to give you a score prediction on this one. I could see like a 42-24 game on this.
Oh, you're going big.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to put some points up.
Yeah,
I don't think the Bucs defense has a little bit of holes in them. I think the Lions are going to run the ball very well, but I think you're going to see a Jahmyr Gibbs breakout game.
It's very possible.
Vita Vea is going to clog the middle.
Vita Vea is good.
I think they're going to put Jahmyr Gibbs and let him do his thing on the outside.
Yeah, if they get him outside.
It's game over. I can see it. There's going to be a lot of screens to Amon-Ra. Like they're a lot faster on offense than the Bucs are on defense. So I can see them just putting a hurting on them, getting big chunk plays and. Laporta, I think Laporta gets in the end zone against these guys. Like it's, I think the Lions are just too much. The Bucs are good. I like the Bucs. I think the Lions are just too much, and the Lions are too much for a lot of teams.
Yeah, you're not going to get any disagreement here out of me on that.
I knew I wouldn't.
I'm a Lions fan at this point. But the second game here, as I die.
You're dying over there. Woo.
Ooh.
Got Dan Campbell's dick in your mouth.
I got Dan Campbell's dick in my mouth. That is right. Did you hear what he said about Jared Goff after that game?
Oh, Detroit's.
You're good enough for Detroit.
You're good enough for Detroit, yeah.
I loved it. But the second game here is Kansas City at Buffalo. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites. This is Patty Mahomes' first road game.
Yeah,
in the playoffs, which is crazy.
I'm going to take the Bills there. I just think the Bills. It's in Buffalo. I just think the Bills have a little bit more offensively. I know the Chiefs have played very good on defense. I just think the Chiefs can't quite overcome some of the offensive issues they've had this year. I think the Bills. I think it's a close game. I think it's a field goal game. So I think the Bills just barely cover that spread. But I think the Bills will get it done on offense. I think they'll run the ball pretty well. They'll get James Cook out in space, and I think this is a game Stephon Diggs does good. I really do. Like Stephon Diggs hasn't played up to his potential, his caliber all season. I think this is a game where Stephon Diggs comes out there, and you might see Diggs with
Gabe Davis
6-7 catches.
Yeah, Gabe Davis should be back for this week as well. For me, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I've been on Andy Reid and Patty Mahomes all season as well.
I think it's really hard to bet against the Chiefs, but I really think this is the Bills' year to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, this is kind of a coin flip game for me. I really could see it going either way.
Yep.
But I think Patty Mahomes comes in there on the road because a lot of people are talking shit about he's never been on the road in the postseason and proves he can do it. Obviously, he proved the weather last week not going to bother him.
No.
So if it's cold as shit in Buffalo, they'll be all right. And for me, the reason why I'm taking the Chiefs is I think the Chiefs' defense is better than the Bills, and I think their offenses are very similar.
Yeah,
I think the Bills have almost the same issues on offense at times.
Yeah,
I
can agree with
the Chiefs'
that.
defense is better.
Yeah,
so I'll take the Chiefs' defense there.
They definitely both have their issues on offense. I just think I've seen a little bit more home run plays out of the Bills than I have out of the Chiefs this year. I can see them getting it done in front of Bills Mafia. I think, like you said, I think it's a close game.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked that game go either way.
I think it's a 17-14 game.
Yeah, I'm thinking it probably is 24-21. Got kind of. I do think it's a 3-point game.
Yeah,
I do.
Comes down to a classic Bills Chiefs game.
Yeah, it's 13 seconds. Bills fans will never forget.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's quite that this year, but I do think it's a good game, and I think it's the game of the week for me.
I think Bills Niners are my Super Bowl picks, so I think the Bills I can't back out on the Bills now. Even though I did say I'll never bet against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but I'm betting against them. I think this is the week it happens.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna throw some money on that one. So we'll see what we want to do here. Oh, we get closer to time there. But that'll do it here for the rundown for us. That's our picks, our look ahead recap of last week for the rundown. Let's hop into. We're going to do defensive players this week, but we're going to say that for next week here for our prospect scouting. We're going to give you a little treat this week and do our first mock draft 1.0.
1.0.
So we'll get that started here. Let me fire it on up.
Yeah, we're going to do an alternating pick here. So Chris over here is going to do the odd number teams. I'm going to do the even number teams. Reason we picked that, he's a Patriots fan, I'm a Broncos fan. It's just the way it falls. So we're going to make our picks for our own teams. Kind of see what we're like in there. So, and I believe we're not going to do trades this week.
I think we don't do it here, but obviously if somebody wants to hit us up in the comments, you want to see us do some trades that we think could happen or will happen, we can certainly hit that in mock 2. We'll be doing a couple of these till we get up here to the draft time. This is my favorite time of the year.
Mine too.
Tough part with this, I do think number 1 does potentially get moved.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think there's a trade involving the Bears, whether it's with 1 or with Fields. I did see a scenario where
it kind of has to happen. If they're not taking Fields, they're not staying at 1, right?
Yeah, I would agree here. I could definitely see either Washington or New England being in play for 1. But in this scenario here, we're not going to do trades. So with number 1, I'm going to take Caleb Williams, quarterback out of SC, and say they move on from Justin Fields, trade him to the Falcons or whatever.
Yeah, I think the realistic trade there is with the Patriots. I do. Either the Patriots or the Commanders, I think, are going to move up for their guy. I can honestly see the Commanders moving up to number 1 and picking their guy, and then the Bears would fall down to number 2. I think that's probably the most realistic. Because I think if you're the Commanders, you still give up a 1 for next year, right?
Yeah.
To move up. So the Bears take their 1 for next year and still get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, honestly, I think if that would be a perfect scenario for the Bears if they trade to 2. I honestly would not be surprised to see them trade again.
Yeah.
Trade 2 away then again.
Yep.
My only concern with New England moving up, and I had been starting to lean more towards them going up to get Caleb Williams, is Robert Kraft did say that he may not hire a GM until after the draft.
Yeah,
so
I saw that. It's kind of weird.
Is not it's very weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. He's never had a GM.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill's been the GM.
Bill's been the guy
the entire time.
Gerard Mayo become the new GM?
I don't think they give that much power to Gerard Mayo, but we'll see. Mayo did say he does not want to be Bill Belichick, so that was good for me to hear.
Yep.
But so you were on the clock at number 2 there. The Washington Commanders.
So we got the Commanders. I think this is a 1A, 1 or 1B pick. So I think obviously the Commanders are going quarterback. Like I just said, I think the Commanders are. If the Bears decide they're not going to be taking that number 1 pick, I think the Commanders are probably your number 1 target to move up and take their choice. You already have 1A off the board, so I'm going to go 1B, and that's Drake May, quarterback out of UNC. I think he's the best pick there. I could also see if team falls in love with Jaden Daniels, maybe May falls to being the 3rd quarterback taken. Maybe somebody would rather have the athleticism of Jaden Daniels, but I think in this situation, if the Bears would take Caleb Williams at number 1, I think May's the 2nd pick.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I definitely think they're 1, 2, and number 3 here with the New England Patriots here. I think there is a chance they trade this back, but in this
Bill's not there anymore, so who knows?
Bill's not there, so we'll see. But I'm going to take Jaden Daniels. We move on from Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. I don't think either one of those guys are the guy. Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson-esque.
Yep.
I think he would hide some of our offensive line issues with his his ability to move in the pocket and his playmaking ability. So I take Jaden Daniels there.
Yep. So I think So I'm at the Cardinals here at number 4. I think this is where it ends of the just home run picks. I think everybody knows who I'm going to pick here at number 4. Obviously, the Cardinals are sticking with Kyler Murray. So what do you want to do when you have a quarterback already in place? You want to get him as many weapons as you can. Cardinals in this situation are in a perfect position to get the best player in the draft. So with that being said, Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, wide receiver. I think this is now where it gets interesting. Where I think top 4 in a lot of mock drafts are showing the exact 4 we just did.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. There's a chance that maybe New England doesn't go Jaden Daniels there and does take Marvin Harrison. I think there's a chance for that. Or I could see New England maybe going Joe Alt as well. Yeah. But a 5 here with the Chargers. It does get a little interesting here for me. I'm not 100% sure where I want to go with this one. But I'm going to say they go Rome Odunze. I think they they'll take him over Malik Neighbors and give them a better weapon out there. They've had a ton of issues at receiver with just staying healthy with Keenan Allen getting a little older. Mike Williams obviously has been hurt about every single year that I can remember. And Quentin Johnson just had his struggles.
Yeah.
So I think Rome Odunze is a good fit there. I definitely think he brings in an elite weapon for Justin Herbert there, and he's the heir apparent to Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
And it just gives you depth at a position that needed.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's a great pick there for them, just because like you said, I think the heir to Keenan Allen just gives you that. I mean, Keenan Allen's only going to probably play for another couple years, so I think Odunze takes over and does everything that you wanted Quentin Johnson to be.
Yeah.
So, which obviously I don't think is working out over there. So that being said, we're going to the Giants here at number 6. I think the Giants would have loved to have Rome Odunze here. I think they still end up going to an offensive weapon. I think if you look across the board, I think where they're lacking on offense the most, I think Wan'Dale Robinson was probably their most effective receiver this year. So I think the Giants are definitely looking to get a true number 1 receiver. So I think they end up going with Malik Neighbors out of LSU. So I think he'll change that offense. Definitely give him a little bit more of a dynamic feel on offense. Give him a little bit more speed on the outside. So definitely think they go receiver there. I think they're hoping for a Marvin Harrison or a Odunze fall, but I think Malik Neighbors is a good consolation prize there.
Yeah. So the Texans up here at 7.
Titans.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. The Titans up here at 7. I'm going to go with Joe Alt. I do think there's a solid chance that Joe Alt's not there at 7.
I agree.
I think there's a very realistic couple of spots he could go earlier there. I do like him more than Fashanu. So I'll take Joe Alt there.
Just touching off that a little bit. I mean, I know we're not doing trades here, so I think at the Cardinals at number 4, where I took Harrison Jr., I think Harrison Jr. ends up going top 3, realistically, with the trades and stuff. So I think the Cardinals are going to be sitting there hoping Marvin Harrison Jr. is there.
I think it really depends on what the Bears do.
Yeah,
the Bears kind of hold the key.
They're definitely holding the keys. But I think it's a really realistic spot at number 4 for Joe Alt going to the Cardinals. So I think the Titans would be absolutely ecstatic if Joe Alt falls to them. So I think
I do think in this scenario, though, if Joe Alt's there at 7, I don't think there's a chance in hell that the Jets don't move heaven and earth to come up and get one of the tackles.
Yeah. My pen.
8 here with the Falcons.
Yep. So the Falcons are an interesting one. So I can definitely see the Falcons being a team that moves up to get a quarterback. I would really like to see Jaden Daniels in this offense. I think it would be very dynamic for him.
I think a big part of that too is depends on who ends up getting the head coach job there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if Belichick gets that job, he's going to try to go for a vet quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. I can see a vet going in there and doing pretty well with this all. I mean, they didn't have a very good vet in there this year, so I mean they kind of didn't really perform very well because they didn't really have that guy there running the team, but they have all the offensive weapons in place. I think they do need a little bit of work on their defense, so if we're not going to go, I mean, they have all the offensive weapons. Maybe if a Malik Neighbors is still available or a Rome Odunze, maybe you go with somebody like that. They have a very good offensive line, so I don't see Don't see him really going that direction. I think maybe they go edge rusher here, and I like Dallas Turner at Alabama. So I think that's if they go defense, I think that's where they go.
Yeah, that's who I was actually thinking there, and kind of hoping he went to was Dallas Turner. I think he's an absolute phenomenal speed rush guy.
Yeah,
he's great. He's my number one, my number one edge rusher coming out. So he's definitely flying up the boards. I think he's going to have a really good combine too. Yeah. So I think it's going to further.
I think people are going to be surprised at how fast he runs and how strong he is.
He's a fast dude. He's going to be a physical freak at the draft.
And he's played at an NFL level in college. I mean, he played for. I mean, how many guys come out of the league at Alabama every year? I mean, he's ready.
Definitely, it's NFLU out down there.
He looked like a first-round pick 2 years ago when he was a freshman. So
he's good.
Yeah,
he reminds me a little bit of Will Anderson.
Yeah,
obviously he played with him.
A little bigger.
Yeah. But similar production.
I think you'll see him with his hand in the ground a little bit more.
I think I wouldn't be shocked by that at all.
Yeah.
And then 9 here to the Chicago Bears. I'm going to. I'm gonna go with Cooper DeJean out of Iowa there, the cornerback. I think that's a good fit there. They need a corner. They need somebody opposite of Jalen Johnson.
The white guy's making an appearance.
First round pick. I think he's a first round pick. I think he's going to test well too at the combine.
So I think he's going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him too. I was between him and Nate Wiggins. I think they're the two top corners in this draft. But I'll lean Cooper DeJean in there. Yeah.
All right, so number 10 here. I think the Jets are going to try to do whatever they can to protect Aaron Rodgers as much as possible. So I'm going to put my number 2 tackle on the board there, Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. I think he's definitely very, very improved from year prior. I think a lot of people have him as the number one tackle in the draft. I think he's number 2 behind Joe Alt. But quick feet, quick hands. I think he'll play pretty well for Aaron Rodgers. Not a lot of people are seeing this. I can see him moving to the right side. Just something I can see over there. But I think he goes in. He's a day one at left tackle just because the Jets don't really have it, unless we can see Bakhtiari going there. But I think after Aaron Rodgers' injury and only playing 3 snaps or 4 snaps, they're going to be doing what they can to get it.
Yeah, and I think they wanted to go offensive line last year, and obviously the Patriots made a trade to let the Steelers come up and take Broderick Jones instead of them. I do think that they were going tackle there as well. So they definitely need to tackle their offensive line as their biggest need. So I would agree with that as well. Number 11 here to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are kind of in an odd situation because you don't really know what they're doing at quarterback. Are they looking to go young at quarterback? Is there really a spot here that you take a quarterback? Or do you take best available? I'm going to... this one's tough for me as well. I'm going to say they're going to go with an edge rusher and take Jared Verse out of Florida State. And then maybe reach back in for a second rounder on quarterback, or potentially look at bringing a vet in off the street there. I'll go Jared Verse out of Florida State.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick there. I think helping out that defense, their defense played very well already. I think adding to that is going to help.
I think like a quarterback's Penix there, but
yeah, I think Penix is the best fit in Minnesota, so I think that's his best landing spot there. Going to number 12, this is also a spot. This is Denver Broncos. So I mean, obviously the Broncos are going to be looking for a quarterback. Top 3 are off the board. Chances are 4 are off the board if Penix ends up going to 11 to the Vikings. I really like Bo Nix with the Broncos as far as fit goes. I do not think Bo Nix is a 12th pick. I think Bo Nix is a second-round pick or a late first-round pick. I do not think you have to waste a 12th pick to get Bo Nix. I think Sean Payton will be looking for another offensive weapon to add to that offense. I think this is absolute dream scenario for Denver in this situation. They've been looking for a tight end, and they really haven't. They've kind of swung and missed on a couple of them recently. Greg Dulcich looks very good, but can't stay on the field. Noah Fant really just didn't get the job done for him. and I think this is the best of both worlds here. One of the best blockers in college football and very good receiving tight end. So, with that being said, dream scenario for the Broncos here, I think, is Brock Bowers out of Georgia. So, doing this draft, I mean, I don't see how he falls that far, but then these picks, though, that we've done are very realistic of team needs.
Yeah, Bowers is one I've done a few just on my own, and I've had a hard time finding.
Yeah, I mean,
he fits with everybody.
Yeah,
but if
you look up and down the board, like where is he going to go? Like, I don't think he goes to the Cardinals, who would be the first team that picks there because they have Trey McBride. Maybe the Chargers, maybe the Bears swing on him on the second pick, but they have Cole Kmet. Maybe the Titans go for him just to have an offensive guy for Will Levis. The Giants, who the fuck knows what the Giants will ever do? So, like,
I think the Giants are going to line.
Yeah, I mean, they need it. They definitely need it. But dream scenario, if Brock Bowers is there at 12, I think Brock Bowers is a guy that somebody trades up into the top 10 to get because I think he's a generational tight end.
I mean, he's the best pure tight end we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not as great as an athlete as Kyle Pitts was.
No.
But he's fairly close, and he's a hell of a lot. He's way better blocker.
He's an all-around.
Yeah.
He blocks.
Your true tight end.
Yeah, he blocks like Kittle and not quite as fast as Kelsey, but catches like Kelsey.
Yeah.
So I think his NFL comp is Kittle all day long just because of the blocking and the all-around receiving ability. I think Brock Bowers is a star, and I think Denver would be absolutely fucking over the moon to get him.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, if he falls there, I think they would be really hard pressed to not take him there.
Yeah.
But 13 here with the the Las Vegas Raiders. Man, this is another hard one here too. You don't really know the coaching situation or what he's going to want to do. But for me, they don't really have a whole lot there in the secondary. They have a lot of needs, in my opinion, here. Terrion Arnold feels like he's a Raider for me. I don't know if Nate Wiggins and Terrion Arnold are similar players as far as grade-wise for me goes. Terrion Arnold has very long arms, so I think he fits the Raiders, what the Raiders want to do with the secondary. I'm going to take Terrion Arnold there.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I think you hit the nail on the head there. He seems like a Raider, like just very Raiders type pick. I think so. I got the Saints here at number 14. I think the Saints might want to add another offensive weapon with this pick, but I think at the same time, all the offensive weapons that have been off the board, I think you just take best player available in this situation. I think that's Drazon Newton at Illinois. Add some depth to your defensive line, add some star power there. I think he's a good run clogger. Definitely help out their defense a little bit. Especially you have a defensive-minded head coach. I think that's kind of the direction they go. They have some power. They have some firepower on offense, but this is a very deep receiver draft.
It is.
I don't think you need to reach for somebody like Brian Thomas here. I think you're hoping Odunze or Neighbors falls. Don't think it happens. Yeah. Maybe Keon Coleman goes here. I think it's a little early for Keon Coleman just because of the depth of the receiver core. So I'm just going to go Drazon Newton. I think he's best player available, and he's the best defensive lineman, like interior defensive lineman in the draft. So I think he's just a really good fit there. I can see a lot of Derek Brown from Auburn that plays in Carolina. I see a lot of that. Just run stuffing ability in his game. So that's what I'm going to go with there.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I consider Newton for the Raiders too. He feels like a Raider as well, but just positional need there. I'll take Arnold over him. At 15 here with the Colts, I think the Colts may be looking to bolster that offensive line to try to keep Anthony Richardson healthy next year. So I think they like J.C. Latham. I think he can play inside and outside, so I could see him being a utility lineman for them as well. You know, he's going to start somewhere on day one for me, but I'll take J.C. Latham there. Tackle out of Alabama.
All right, so Seahawks. Seahawks have some weapons on offense. I think this is one they could go offensive line if the right one falls to them if they wanted to. I also like Drazon Newton here for this pick, but in this case he's off the board. I think they definitely go defense. Looking at here, I think they add.
I mean, I still think there's a high likelihood Dan Quinn gets that job.
Yeah, so I think they go defense. I can definitely see them going defensive back. So I think I'm going to go Nate Wiggins out of Clemson here for him. That seems like a pretty good pick there, good fit. They just picked a corner in the first round last year, so let's keep bolstering their defense. Offensive quarterback's going to have some questions here in the upcoming future, but I think that's a good fit for them for right now.
Yeah, I like Nate. He can play for sure. You're definitely not going wrong there with picking Nate.
No.
At 17 here with Jacksonville. Jacksonville a little tough for me. Josh Allen's contract's up, so do they bring Josh Allen back? I mean, are they going to afford to take him there, or are they going to look to replace him? I think there's a decent chance he doesn't resign. So I'm going to take, I don't know how I'm going to butcher this name, Leatu.
Oh, the kid from UCLA.
Yeah, the kid out of UCLA.
Yeah.
I really like him. I'm going to take him there to help bolster that at the edge rush there, as well as potentially replace some of that production there if Josh Allen just does decide to.
Yeah, I can see Josh Allen leaving. I really can.
He's going to want a bunch of money for sure.
Yeah, and I think somebody else would be willing to pay that for him. I could see somebody like Seattle paying that money for him, or somebody along them lines, maybe just looking for another piece on the defense. But at the Bengals, number 18, Tyler Boyd believes on a contract year, so maybe this is somewhere they're looking. Yeah,
Tyler
so I mean,
Boyd
I don't think they re-signed T. Higgins. I don't think they re-signed Tyler Boyd. So I think they're going to end up letting these guys walk.
I think they re-signed one. I don't think they re-signed both.
I don't think they re-signed both. So I think that's something they're going to address in the draft. Either that or the offensive line. I think if the right weapon is here on offense, you're going to go with it. In this situation, I think it has landed this direction. So I'm going to go with. You have one LSU receiver in that room already. I think they're going to add another in Brian Thomas Jr. It just seems like a good fit there for me. Giving Joe Burrow another option. I mean, you don't want to take Burrow's weapons away. I think you want to keep the weapons, feeding Burrow. And in that case, too, if a J.C. Latham falls to them there, I think they go offensive line maybe. But I think offensive line is something they can address in free agency if they need to.
Yeah. I think in that scenario, I think I would have probably took the kid out of Oregon State, the tackle of Oregon State there, to at least Fawagawi. I'm not sure how these guys got some funky names, but I do think they probably lean O-line there. But I think it does really depend on what they can do in free agency.
Yeah.
I really do think they re-signed one of them. If it was me, I'm re-signing T, but T. Higgins is going to cost a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Boyd is. Not that Tyler Boyd is coming cheap.
I just think that, like I said, I think it's a very good possibility they go with offensive line. I think that's probably the best choice, and I think maybe Fuaga is the best choice there. But if they lose both receivers, which I can definitely see happening, they're going to need to replace them quick. So
yeah,
Brian Thomas is definitely
if they lose both, they'll definitely be in the receiver market in the draft. But 19 here with the LA Rams. Obviously, they exceeded expectations here. I don't know how much time Stafford has left. I do think there's a solid chance that he's been talking about considering retirement for the last couple of years. So I do think they potentially are looking for that next guy, since Stetson Bennett obviously has his own personal demons that he's dealing with, and I don't think he's the guy. But I'm going to take Michael Penix here to come in there and potentially replace Matt Stafford, because I think Matt Stafford very well may step away at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can.
If Stafford doesn't, I don't think they take a quarterback. For the record,
I think that's a good pick there for them. Definitely, either way, you're going to need somebody for the future there. So,
well, I mean, I think if Matt Stafford comes back, they go all in and probably go O-line there, just to try to bolster that O-line for him. But I'm gonna play out this scenario out in my head where he retires at the end of the year, and then they're in a need for quarterback.
Yeah, makes sense. 20 to the Steelers. I think they need some offensive line help. So I'm gonna go tackle out of Oregon State, Fuaga there. Couple. What's that?
All right, that's
you had him on the next pick.
No, I didn't. No, I think if in this scenario, they would have probably blew their load. The Kool-Aid McKinstry was still there.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I can also see linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I could see that happening too. I think if a tackle like Fuaga is not there at 20, realistically,
yeah, probably not.
So I think we kind of addressed a little bit of needs there, but I think they're blowing their load at Fuaga being there, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. And that secondary definitely needed some help, though. That's the only reason why I would have thought Cooley would have been your pick there. But I do agree that they do need some offensive line help. More interior line, though, I think. But I think they can bump somebody in for sure. But I'm going to continue the tackle run here with the 21 and in the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to give him on Marius Mims out of Georgia. Played right tackle in college, so I think he can come in and play both sides. Potentially, maybe even move to guard. He's got kind of long arms to play guard, but where I think the Lions are going to be trying to do everything they can to protect Tua, and with him playing right, it protects his blind side.
Yeah, 100%. So you wanted me to pick Kool-Aid McKinstry at 20. I'm going to pick him at 22 because I think the Eagles.
But he's not from Georgia.
I know he's not from Georgia, but I mean, maybe the Georgia boys aren't working out. Maybe they need to go to the Alabama boys here at in the NFL level. So I'm going to go Kool-Aid McKinstry at number 22 for the Eagles. I just think
that'd be a great pick.
They need whatever help they can get on defense right now, especially secondary's been bad. Bradbury's gone. I mean, you got to put somebody opposite Slay.
Darius Slay may retire.
I think this is
Slay's getting old.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where the Eagles might try to trade up to get their guy that they want in the secondary. But I think the Eagles are super happy with this pick if they can get it. He's great. I don't think Kool-Aid McKinstry is the best corner on his team. That's a story for another day, though.
Coming into the season, he was.
Yeah.
But Terran Arnold has just played so well.
But, I mean, now that Downs is leaving, too. Downs entered the transfer portal today. That just has Georgia written all over it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, but yeah, sticking to the mock draft here, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is the pick at 22.
Here at 23 with the Houston Texans here. I think they go and try to bolster that defensive line again. I'm going to take Braylon Trice out of Washington. I really like Braylon Trice.
I love Braylon Trice.
He's got a super high motor.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance they go Chris Braswell. I think the combine is going to be the difference maker in those two. I do think Braylon Trice is a little bit better pro prospect than Chris Braswell, but they may go back to the Alabama well there and take him as well. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all.
Yeah, I can see that. 24. The Cowboys. The Cowboys are a very interesting pick because the Cowboys always seem to go with a big name guy rather than the fit of the team. It seems like they're always going for just the best name available. I can see them trying to add another, just because I think they want to have just as much firepower on offense as they possibly can. I think the Cowboys in this situation take A.D. Mitchell out of Texas. Just add another guy opposite CeeDee Lamb. Add another weapon. I mean, outside, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a ticking time bomb anywhere he goes. He's bound to get traded at some point. But I like A.D. Mitchell there. I think they can also go defense, corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry's there. I think they take him. Maybe go. I could see them going safety. Maybe going to kid out of Missouri.
Missouri? Missouri's a corner.
Yeah. I'm saying going if they go defensive back. I meant sorry. But if they can end up going to kid out of Missouri, I could see them going for Cameron Kitchens. But I'm just gonna roll with A.D. Mitchell. I can see them making the sexy pick rather than the right pick.
Yeah, they're a team that's always tough to figure out what they're gonna do.
Yeah, they're a hard team to figure out.
I feel like the last couple of drafts, it's been like very head-scratching picks they've made. Some have hit, some haven't. So, 25 here with the Green Bay Packers. I definitely think they have some concerns on their offensive line, trying to figure out what they're going to do there. I'm going to take Troy Fautawano out of Washington there to come in and maybe be a stable force out there on a tackle spot there if Bakhtiari just can't get back on the field.
Yeah. All right. 26, Tampa Bay Buccaneers as of right now. So I'm thinking as for the Buccaneers, Mike Evans is on a contract year. I could see them going receiver. I could see them going defense. I think if Mike Evans does walk in free agency, which I think is a very big possibility, they're going to want to try to replace that big guy on the outside as soon as possible. So if we're just going that scenario there, give me Keon Coleman out of Florida State. I think that's the. I think that would be a good pick for there. If Mike Evans leaves, it's a big if. Obviously, we don't know if this is where Tampa Bay is going to be picking or not. But as of right now, I could see Evans leaving, and that would be a good pick to fill in shoes.
All right, I mean, I could see it. 27 here with the Arizona Cardinals coming back for their second round pick. Obviously, they took Marvin Harrison to address that wide receiver need early in this draft here. I still think Jonathan Gannon may need some help on that defense. I'm going to take. I think they strongly are looking at corner here. I'm going to take Ennis Rackshaw out of Missouri. I think he's a pretty solid fit there. Maybe looks safety, but I'll stick with the corner.
All right. So 28 will be Kansas City, right?
Yep,
Kansas City. So I could see Kansas City going offensive tackle, maybe to help out a little. Juwan Taylor, maybe replacing him there. Maybe replacing the right tackle. I can see them doing that, but we've talked about this a lot on the show. I think we kind of know what direction Kansas City's going to go. I think they consider the tackle there for maybe a second, but I think receiver is definitely the way to go, and I think there might be a chance that they end up trading up to try to get the receiver they want if they're going to go big game hunting. Maybe for somebody like Coleman or A.D. Mitchell. This situation, both of them guys are already taken. So, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up here. I know they probably want a bigger guy, but I can definitely see them going receiver. So in this case, I'm just going to give them. I'm going to give him Troy Franklin out of Oregon. I think that would be a good fit. He's fast. I think he would add a different dynamic to that offense that they don't have currently.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they're going receiver. I think in an ideal world, Keenan Coleman is their guy.
Yeah, I think Keon Coleman's their guy too.
I think in this scenario, I think I would have leaned a little bit more Xavier Legette, but I'm real high on him.
Yeah.
Probably higher than most. But the Bills here at 29. Ooh, it's kind of a weird fall to the board here for the Bills. I could see them going a couple different ways here. I don't know if there's a receiver that they're going to look for. Jordan Morgan, I think, probably plays more guard, and Graham Barton probably going to move more to guard in the league. So I don't know if there's really a tackle that I find a fit here. I think they're going to go. In this case, I would probably say they may go Chop Robinson and take a freak athlete on the edge. I think you mix him with Ed Oliver on the inside there, and you could have a very dominant pass rush there. Obviously, Gregory Rousseau is all up there too. Yeah. So I think you have a very dominant pass rush there. Chop is, I don't know if he's there at 29. He's very raw, in my opinion. Didn't have the production in college that obviously I would have liked out of Chop, but he is a physical freak, and I think he's going to test really well at the combine, and I think there's a solid chance he's a top 20 pick. I don't know if I like some of the other guys that I think a little better, had a little more production for me, but I think you take Chop Robinson on the physical freak side and hope you hit big there.
That was going to be my pick here for Detroit. I think he would have been a great fit here for Detroit. I still don't think he falls that far. I could see Chop going somewhere here in the mid-20s. Just really depends on what fit people want to go to.
Yeah, so my only issue with Chop is the production, and he's very, very raw. There's not very many skill set as far as built-in moves at this current time.
Yeah. I think for the Lions in this scenario, I think the Lions have a lot of firepower on offense, so I think they're definitely going to go defense here. I could see them going corner depending on who's available. Just kind of help out there. I mean, maybe linebacker. Maybe I could see them going for somebody like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. because you don't know. I don't know what Anzalone's contract status looks like. I know they have Jack Campbell there already. That's going to be kind of the future back there.
Took him in the first round last year as well.
Yeah. So I can see them going corner here. So with as far as remaining available corners, I'm gonna go Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia. I just think he adds a good fit there on the outside. So I think they're definitely looking. I think corner safety are probably going to be their two biggest needs there. If a good edge rusher that they like is there, I think they go edge rusher. Like you said, if Chap Robinson's there, I think that's who they go. But
yeah, I think there's a chance they look at maybe a guy like Jonah Ellis. I like him. I think he's a very nice guy there. I could see them, maybe going with Jordan Morgan or one of those guys and bumping him into guard.
Yeah.
I think their interior offensive line needs a little work. Other than Ragnow's good and everything like that. So Ragnow's not there. I can see him going maybe one of the tackle guard kind of guys. But I like Cameron Lassiter or Kamari Lassiter as well. San Francisco here at 31. Don't really need a whole lot. San Francisco's they're in a good position as far as they can just kind of draft best available and see what works. I do think maybe they go with a Graham Barton here. I think he projects more to interior on the interior line there, but I think he can play tackle at the league here maybe in a year or two. Gets a little bit of experience, but I think he's a plug and play guard in the league.
Yeah, I agree. And then finishing up here with the Ravens, I could see them going offensive line. Right now, we have Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. We have Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. So I'm going to go Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma.
Patrick Paul in there too.
Patrick Paul, yep.
Out of Houston.
I think I'm going to go Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. I think they go tackle. So I think that'll be Jordan Morgan could very well go there too. But I like Guyton. I think Guyton falls in my top 5 as far as tackles go. So I think that's a steal there, taking him at 32. But obviously the Ravens in that position. I don't know if the Ravens are picking there at 32. So we'll see.
I think they're very, very realistically picking in the top 20, 29 to 30.
Yeah.
And I think Guyton's available there.
Yeah.
However way you want to go out there. Obviously, there were some big names there that we didn't get in the first round.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you. Who do you think is some of the big names there? I'm looking at one right now that I know you're going to say.
I went to the next screen. I lost my who's still there. You still have them?
What's that?
You still have who's
I have some of them. I don't have all of them.
Obviously, I think there's some receivers that we didn't get to that I
your
think
favorite receiver in the draft.
Yeah, I don't think Leggett goes in the first round. I don't. I love him as a receiver, but I don't think he makes it into the first round. I think there's some, Patrick Paul's probably going to be in the first round as far as on the tackle wise goes.
And I think a big question mark too. So we named 4 quarterbacks in the first round.
I do think there's a fifth one.
Yeah, so I think a fifth one becomes an option there. Now some of these teams picking towards the back. Maybe like the Dolphins trading down, the Eagles trading down towards the back. Like there's certain spots where I think teams could trade down, and teams trading up into the first round. So if we named 4, who do you think that fifth one could be?
The quarterback?
Yeah,
it's Bo Nix.
You think it's Bo Nix?
Yeah,
I agree.
I realistically, if it falls that way and he doesn't end up in Denver, or one of them gets passed, I honestly think they're probably all 5 gone by Denver.
Yeah.
Realistically.
At 12?
Yeah. But I think if it happens to where it breaks out to where one of them falls to the back half of the round, I do think somebody trades back up into the first round just to get that 5th-year option. Yep. I could see, obviously, like Baltimore moving their pick, or 49ers moving their pick on the back half of the rounds, kind of like the Baltimore Ravens did with Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
I could very easily see somebody doing that. But obviously, big name guys that we didn't get into the first round. Obviously, Xavier Leggett, I'm very high on. Jonah Ellis, I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the first round. Patrick Paul, I think, probably ends up in the first round someplace there. Obviously, the linebackers, I don't know if there's a linebacker that I really have a first-round grade on.
Yeah.
Between Edgerton Cooper and and Jeremiah Trotter and Peyton Wilson. I think they're all probably day 2 picks and potentially steals there in day 2.
I think Jeremiah Trotter is a very good day 2 pick. I really do. I like him a lot.
I do too. There's somebody else that we didn't have in the first round that I think probably ends up in the first round. I'm trying to find who it was. Probably Chris Braswell. I think he could have a good camp and make it into the first round.
I do like Jordan Morgan out of Arizona too, the tackle. I could see him.
I just don't know where if he's going to be
way.
a tackle or a guard, and that's my only issue with him. I do think either one or both the safeties go in the first round there. I really got to do a deep dive on those. I keep going back and forth on which one I have as number 1 on my board, so I got to watch a little more film and figure out which one I like. I like them both. I really do. Jonah Ellis is somebody I really like as well. TJ Tampa out of Iowa State seems to be a solid player too. So, I mean, it's definitely a decent cornerback class. So we'll see kind of how it all shakes out here. I think pretty much everybody's made their declarations. I don't know if we're really waiting on any shoes to drops, the who's going back, who's not going back.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got our group of guys. I mean, a couple guys still waiting on certain things. Like, Tolia Tagovailoa just said he's entering now because of not getting the 6 year. Yeah, so I mean, you have issues like that. I don't think Talia Tagovailoa gets drafted, but
I think he does. I think he's probably a day 3 guy for me.
Yeah.
Late. I think he might go late. Just on name value, I think he'll probably get. There's some talent there.
There'll be some quarterback. I mean, quarterbacks always get taken. I mean, look at Sean Clifford was a 4th round pick.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of quarterback depth behind the Big 5.
Yeah.
Did JJ McCarthy say he's coming out?
I believe so. Yeah.
You
got Nix. You got McCarthy. Nix is probably the 5. You have McCarthy. McCarthy at 6 is probably your 6.
And then you have Michael Pratt.
Yeah, I like Michael Pratt.
I don't know why he's coming out though.
Yeah.
Should have went back.
I think
Spencer Rattler's coming out. Jordan Travis, I think, will get picked as well.
Yeah. I really like Michael Pratt. I think I can see somebody like a Kyle Shanahan-esque coach, like maybe a McVay, or maybe Mike McDaniel or somebody getting him and just sitting him behind their guys they have there. Michael Pratt. Yeah, I like Michael Pratt. I think he has Sean Payton written all over him too. Just the way he plays the position.
I didn't scout him a whole ton of bucks. I thought there was no way he wasn't coming out. He was coming out. I thought he was going back. Then he declared kind of later after I did my first initial run through of the quarterbacks there. But I do like him. Obviously, there's some injury issues this year that
I think he's a day 3 pick. I got a 4th round grade on him. I think he's a 4th, 5th round pick.
It
depends on what the run of quarterbacks happens. I mean, there's a lot of people always willing to pick late round quarterbacks in the early late rounds, like the 4th, 5th round.
Yeah. I definitely think he's a day 3 guy. I think you have 5 go in the top 50 picks of this draft for sure. Yep. And then McCarthy's probably not far behind, or Nix.
I think McCarthy and Bo Nix are both day 2 picks. I think if in a realistic world, I think 4 quarterbacks are in the first, Penix being the 4th one. If somebody wants to reach for Bo Nix in the first round, go ahead. I think Bo Nix falls in Denver, ultimately. Denver does not have a 2nd round pick. So if Denver wants to get back in the first round, they're probably going to give up a good amount of picks to do that. They want to hop into the 2nd round if Bo Nix is still available. You're taking a risk. If he's your guy, you have to go up and get him, even if it is a reach. But anyway, I can see 4 going in the first round with a potential 5th, maybe at the back.
Yeah,
like you said, for the 5th round option. But then I can see 3 or 4 of them taken on day 2. Like
I have a hard time seeing 3 or 4 on day 2.
I think if we're going 4 in the top, and then you got Nix, McCarthy, and then maybe a couple more, maybe 1 or 2 more fall after them.
I just don't see one go in the 2nd or 3rd round as far as anybody below that. I feel like this is a very top heavy draft for quarterbacks, and then the drop off is pretty significant.
Yeah, after the top 4 or 5, it drops off.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can see that many. I could definitely see 4 for sure in the first round. I think if the over under's 4 on that, I'm taking that to be 4. I do think there's a solid chance that somebody moves back in late to take the 5th one.
Yeah.
But I think the combine is going to matter a lot for that. I think J.J. McCarthy has potential a lot to gain at the combine. I don't know how much the other guys really participate. I don't know how much they have to gain really.
Yeah.
But I do think Bonas is going to interview well. I think teams are going to fall in love with him. Michael Penix's arm is going to wow.
Yep.
And J.J. McCarthy, if he can come out and show a little more touch on his ball, I think he has some room to grow as well. But I think that'll get us wrapped up here. Our mock draft 1.0. We'll get it out to you here hopefully next day or so here. If you have any, obviously hit us up. Talk some shit in the comments. Tell us what you like, don't like. Tell us we're idiots. Who you had here, where at now. We love that shit. So, all right, guys, we appreciate it. We'll see you next week after the divisional round here. Get ready to go into the conference finals and the Pro Bowl. All right, thanks, guys.
See you.
Later.